3, 2, 1. Welcome to Potter Familias. Coming to you from Fairhope, Alabama.
I'm Todd Sylvester.
And I'm Stephen Sylvester. Why are you laughing?
You look so creepy.
So weird.
You look so creepy.
That's mean. How dare you?
Hello.
That's not what I was doing.
That is exactly.
I was smiling at you like a good son.
No, that was a creepy smile.
False.
That was like, come on out here.
I don't know what you're talking
I'll
about.
kill you.
This is great. No, see, that sounds more like something that my wife would say in jest.
When did the first smartphone come out? I mean, do we consider the iPhone the first smartphone?
Well, technically no, but it was the smartphone that made smartphones ubiquitous. And even at the beginning, it didn't.
Was the Blackberry considered a smartphone?
Well, sort of, yes.
With the QWERTY keyboard?
And you could technically do things like access the internet from it and do some of the things.
Even though it was clunky.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like a lot of people would use Blackberries for that type of work, knowing that it was clunky, but they didn't mind because.
So
they
what
thought it was
year are
amazing.
we talking about? How long?
I think it was 2010 that the first one came out, right? Or was it earlier than that?
A little bit earlier than that. I think it's been like 13 years.
So 08, 07 or 08?
Yeah, right in there.
Because I've watched the video on YouTube of the unveiling. It's wild. And golly, I loved hearing Steve Jobs talk.
Yeah.
Golly.
I
The
miss him.
dude was a visionary.
Yep, he was.
And he was, pretty much everything, good and bad, that people have said about him, I think is true. But boy, he was a visionary.
But this is the crazy thing is already culturally we feel like it's absolutely ingrained in us to have smartphones. Like you just can't live without a smartphone. And we're talking about something that's only been around, let's say, for 13, 14 years.
Well, but look at it's an exponential curve in terms of growth and cultural acceptance of technology. Because y'all understand what that means, right? An exponential curve is one that gets steeper as it continues.
Mm-hmm.
So the changes are happening faster and being adopted faster as time moves forward. And there's all these predictions that people have made about where the ceiling is of what's possible in terms of our technological advancements. But smartphones are a good indicator of exactly how fast that moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they've become something that even if you don't have a smartphone, you know exactly what it is and you generally know what it can do. And even if, by the way, you're not familiar with how to use it, it's pretty intuitive. Like people can pick it up pretty quickly. And the stuff that smartphones can do nowadays is just wild.
Well, the question is it 100% blessing or I don't want to say 100% curse?
Well, it's obviously neither one of those. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah.
It's not all good. I'm not singing the praises of smartphones. I'm just saying
there are going to be people actually that would judge it as 100% one or the other because I've seen people do videos where they smash them.
Oh, wow.
Because they're like, it's destroying our family. It's destroying our lives. And they take them outside and hit them with a hammer. And as a dad, I'm like, oh, man, you could have just sold it.
It's like those things are
if
expensive.
if you really want to get rid of it, that's
like,
fine.
If you're making your point,
but
fair
sell
enough.
it.
But
Don't smash it with a hammer. I did recently travel, and I flew into one big airport, and then I flew from there into a kind of a smaller one. And I do a lot of people watching. When I'm in these airports.
As one does.
Right. Well, a lot of these people weren't. They weren't doing people watching.
Really?
They were looking at their phones.
Oh.
As an anthropologist, and I'm not really one, but I was sitting there and I was looking around going, there is no one that I can see, even the people working here, who are not looking at their phones.
Right. So that's obviously a cultural change. And you've seen those videos, or those photos rather, from concerts. And they'll take bands that were playing 15 years ago and what the crowd looked like. And then bands 5 years ago, same band. I think they've even done it with same venue. And you can just see all the phones, all the screens that are in the air. And it only took 10 years.
Right.
And I think, I see your point. Everybody talks about how, oh, look, everybody's just got their face in their phone all the time. And sure, okay, that is a negative consequence of everyone having access to basically a tiny TV and computer in their pocket all the time.
Right.
Is no one is talking to people, or at least not on a large popular scale. No one is talking to the community about the dangers of using your smartphone too much. Although there are some doctors who are talking about screen time and how it hurts your vision over time and that sort of thing. Nobody's really discussing the psychological aspect of needing to look at a screen all the time and the dopamine that you get from that.
Well, because
or serotonin,
I think we're still so early into this. We just talked about it. We're only talking about 12, 13, 14 years.
But think about what smartphones have done that's good, though. Because
I'm an advocate. In fact, I'm one of those guys that will admit it would be really difficult for me to function without mine.
Yeah, me too.
Because I am super dependent on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
I frequently check the weather. As a guy that does a lot of landscaping stuff, I frequently check the weather. What else do I do? I mean, I like the connectedness of my emails.
Yep.
I like getting those. Text messaging, I think, is wonderful. I really like text messaging. I love the fact that I can FaceTime my family members who don't live close by.
Yeah.
I love that. There's a lot of those things there that I'm going to say, Stefan, are very much blessings in my life.
And I was going to agree with you. I didn't realize that you were going to say all that stuff, but I was looking recently at the first pictures that I took of our kiddos when Edith was born and when we just had Edie and Eli. And the picture quality is insane in comparison from what I was taking with that phone that I had years ago to what I'm taking with the phone that I have now.
Right.
And it's not like, I mean, I didn't notice that it was that big of a difference until I looked back and compared side by side.
Yeah.
I was like, golly.
Now, that is another thing that as a 53-year-old guy walking around with a high-quality phone and / video camera, that is incredible that can sit in your pocket, because I had a video camera that took a full cassette VHS tape
I remember
at one
that
point
thing.
in time.
Yeah.
With a battery that weighed about 50 pounds.
I remember.
So you wouldn't bring that everywhere.
No.
I mean, it was only specific events and things like that. And when you were taking pictures, you had film, so you would scarcely take photos.
Right. And you had to really think about what you were doing.
Oh, in fact, I was a little irritated the other day. This past weekend, I handed my phone to someone to take a picture of me and your sister Marie, and then I didn't even check it afterwards. She just, gave it back to me. Well, later on, I was looking at it. She took like 20 pictures, which I guess is the normal thing. But I'm sitting there going, I don't want 20 pictures.
Well, you have to make sure. I mean, she probably just wanted to make sure that she got a good one for you.
See, you're
she was
talking
being
to
nice.
an old guy who it used to be film.
Right.
Like you had the longest piece of film that you had was 36 exposures. So 20 pictures to me is like the whole vacation.
And
That's the whole vacation.
I only barely remember ever even using a camera that had film, which is crazy to me.
I know, and you're about to turn 30. So I
Yeah.
mean, this is
I'm
how
technically
fast.
a millennial. I'm
This
just an
is
older
how
millennial.
fast it's going.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just going so fast. So when we come to the smartphone, blessing or curse, I'm going to say a lot of blessing. It also is very sad how addictive it is.
Yeah.
Now I'm not on social media, so I'm not sitting in the airport checking Facebook and Instagram and checking Snapchat and whatever else is out there now.
Yeah.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm not
TikTok,
doing all those things.
TikTok
right.
is the big one.
So a lot of those things. I did check the news. I was checking the news, and I was looking up, about the building collapse in Miami, and I was praying for those people.
In about 10 years, there'll be all these studies that have been completed by then that will show what using a smartphone regularly from a young age does to you psychologically, and what are good practices going forward that can help us to address whatever problems are happening that we're seeing in real time. But it takes time for us to figure out what's the best way to address the negative consequences of something becoming so popular so fast.
And I agree with you. My fear is going to be this. If they came to me right now and said, hey, you need to cut back on the use of your microwave, and you can only use it for 2 minutes a day, once a day, I don't think people would listen to that. I think they'd be like, forget you, man. This is what I need to warm up my food and to make my popcorn or whatever.
Well, look, some aspects of culture have been changed by smartphones in a way that is permanent, right?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about they'll treat smartphones with sort of the same. And granted, I don't think this is a perfect comparison, but I believe, will come out with, and when I say they, I mean the government or doctors or whoever, someone will tell Western culture, modern Western culture, like, hey, we're going to come out with similar warnings for using smartphones and using media devices, kind of the same way that we did for cigarettes. And over time, obviously, that's gotten stricter and stricter as people see the negative consequences, and fewer people smoke, right?
Right.
Now, I don't think that will happen with smartphones in terms of, I don't think they'll phase out of culture and society completely, but I think that people will see the value or they will see the wisdom of not giving their 5-year-old an iPhone.
Right. Which, I'll tell you, we've changed our rules.
Mm-hmm.
We changed our rules because we don't have a home phone anymore.
Yep.
So Jane, your sister, was the youngest so far of our children getting a smartphone because she was home by herself with her younger brothers and there was no home phone.
Yeah. You don't have to justify it to me. I get it.
Yeah.
It's just the world has changed and now we have to deal with the change. So to answer the question, blessing or curse, I mean, it's a little bit of both, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a blessing.
And I'm going to agree with you on that one. In the comments, let us know what you think about it in your own personal experiences. Smartphone, blessing or curse?
Y'all, thank you so much for listening.
You're awesome.